Hi there, Steph. Thanks for popping by. So today's card is made with quite a lot of different stamps and dies and things. So you can see all the names at the beginning of the video. I started by doing a background. I've actually done quite a few backgrounds on that day, but I thought that one was really nice and I wanted to do something with it. So the idea is kind of doing the colors of the sky, so the yellow, the red. I was, the kind of orange in between, and then a bit of purple and some blue for the top of the sky, really, the deepest part. I used a reinker, the Distress Ink reinker, rather than the pads, because that's the color I wanted, but these colors are really rich and also really thick. So I didn't put enough water, and when I applied it, it quite quickly became quite messy. And you will see the color starts drooling and really it's not looking so great. So I just used a bit of kitchen roll, remove all the ink. You're kind of left with some paint and it looks a bit pastel and it's actually quite pretty. I could have stopped there, but I wanted a bit, actually I wanted a lot more depth and a lot more vibrancy. So I just went back and added more color onto my background and I was really happy with it. I let it dry for a few days probably. I mean, it was probably dry after a day. I went back to it a few days later. And that background, which at some point I thought, oh dear, what am I going to do with that? I'm actually really pleased with what happened with it afterwards. So if you do happen to have something that you're not quite sure about, let it dry, or even go back to it the day after if it's coloring or something. And sometimes a bit of taking a step back really helps to see things differently or even come up with an idea in between. So anyway, I partially die cut a circle and I stamped with my stamping platform with some stays on ink. That's a stamp from a Crafty Impressions stamp set called Silent Night. And the impression wasn't good with the stays on all the stamping platforms. So I had to move on to my stamping tool and stamp repeatedly with some VersaFine Onyx black, which is really thick and it worked much better for me in that instance. And once I was happy with the stamped image, I went on to cut my circle with a sharp knife, and I just wanted to keep the pointy top of that building coming out of that circle window, and you will see I will add a little bit of yellow cardstock so that it looks like the moon basically. I do like kind of coloring the edges to make sure that it looks quite neat. I use my Copic marker to draw a hill. And it's not the exact same color than the black of the buildings, but I will add little details toward the end, which, it doesn't hide it perfectly, but it helps kind of disguise it a little bit. And here on the hill, I draw a little bit of grass, and I try to add little things so that it kind of blends together and everything together at the end I think looks quite good, so that does really help. I use my Copic multiliner because it's quite thin and it's really good for like redrawing edges, and here I'm doing a bit more grass, and it's quite a good tool. It comes with some of the Copic Chow set, you get 4 Copics and then you get a multiliner. So in between I've cut off camera, I've cut the Santa sleigh, which you will see in a minute. I've looked at my cardstock and I found some coordination. I think it's pastel cardstock, I'm not quite sure about the name, but it's that yellowy, which I thought would be really good for the moon. And because my yellow, the one at the bottom of my background, is kind of hidden behind the hill now, I think it was quite cool because it adds a bit of a lighter color back into the card because the top of the card was a bit darker. Then I used my yellow Copic just to add a bit of a halo around the sun and just a little bit more depth. I think it just adds a little something. It's not much, you see, it's this kind of little detail that when you add them one by one, I think it works out quite well. So that's a die from a lady called Joanna Sheen, and I found it on Amazon, I think. And it's a really cute die, which I've so far used in a few different ways, so you will see in other videos. I've just cutted it off some black cardstock and I'm gluing it with some matte multimedium, and it's just basically Santa in the sky carrying all the presents and things. So matte multimedium is obviously really good. I'm not sure if you have used it before or not, but it's a really good glue, and I try not to put too much so it doesn't leak, but if it does go beyond it's okay because it dries matte. Then I use my Sakura black glaze pen, and still have to say that really slowly. And it's really good because it's raised a little bit, not as much as glossy accent, but it also creates some sort of shine, you know, it reflects the light a little bit. So that's kind of how I added details onto my heel, to kind of try to blend these two different blacks together to make it look okay in the end. And as I said, I think it looks quite good. You know, when you see the fine, it's always difficult to capture this kind of thing on video. Here I had a bit of glossy accent on the windows, and a bit on the sun as well. It's hard to capture these things on videos or photos, but when you see a card, it often, I think, looks nicer than the photos, so you always have to bear that in mind a little bit. So anyway, that's my card for today. I hope you like it. I really like the smooshy / arty effect. I don't normally do these things, but I think it worked out very well, so I'm really happy with it. Thanks you very much for watching, and don't hesitate to head over to my blog to watch the photos, and don't hesitate also to subscribe to my channel to get all my latest videos. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye!